thanks for tuning in to the Crusher Trading Recap Show for Tuesday, November 26, 2024. Did end up crushing it with $1,052, but it was a very challenging day. I ended up over trading, but we'll get into that here in just a few seconds. But before I do me a favor and click the like button. If you haven't subscribed, right now would be the perfect time to subscribe, and you too can come and learn the Crush It Trading strategy. Right now, it's only $79 per month for life if you sign up before December 31st. And the trade of the day for me was, there it is, Tesla, $1,052. Now, we need to talk about this because I did overtrade. I did get emotionally hijacked today, and I want to explain to you how that happened. Definitely could have made a lot more money, but I got caught up in a couple trades, and I wanted to win. And I did win, but at a cost. And you can see here, it is very choppy on NVIDIA, and I tried to play this chop. Right before the chop even started, I figured, okay, we got this move to the downside on NVIDIA, which you can see we did get in the long run. But, you know, hindsight, looking back at it, look how choppy this was. We broke that 5-minute candle low, and I was expecting a continuation of the downside. And you can see when I got in at about 100 contracts here, the first thing it did is went up. Now, I was able to take off 25 contracts here because we were outside the Bollinger Bands, but I was still waiting for it to get down to the 0.618. So you can see as we moved up, we got into VWAP here. I added some for a move to the downside. And I was able to trim some out here. So I thought, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. I'm going to wait till I get to the crush it zone. So, you know, over 100 contracts, and now I am moving up again. And so I'm thinking the second time, the big move up, I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, a price is probably going to move to the upside now. And, you know, I was kind of like psyching myself out. And that's what chop does. It'll psych you out. It'll emotionally hijack you because you're green and then you're really red, and then you're small green and then you're really red. And so, you know, I got in this trade and it was chopping, and I decided to get out of the trade. And then at the same time, I got into Amazon off the crush it zone because we have a crush it zone challenge, which I ended up making, I think, about $350 on Amazon trade for the crush it zone challenge that we're doing. And if you want to know more about the crush it zone challenge, you have to come into the room and we'll talk about it, and you can see the probability of that trade, which we get green on every single day. And you can see the probability of that trade, and you can see the probabilities of the crush it zone trade, which we are pretty much green every single day on those trades. And today it was Amazon. But once again, coming back to NVIDIA here, you can see that I was in this chop here, and I got chopped out of the trade, which is fine. I mean, that's going to happen sometimes, but you just have to keep your composure. And I got mentally hijacked. And at this point, you know, instead of like, you know, the fight or flight, I got into fight mode. And I was like, you know what? That made me mad. And I wanted to keep trading. And it was a small, very small loss, not a lot. And I traded it, I think it was NVIDIA again. And by that time, you know, I was emotionally hijacked. So by that time, you know, I was playing the 10-second this, trying to take small moves, and that is not the way to trade. So I turned that into about a $5,000 loss. And then what I did is then I went to Tesla. And at that time now, I drew this trend line here on Tesla, waiting for the break. And, you know, like I said, I was emotionally hijacked, and I ended up taking calls on Tesla, sold them, and then I bought puts thinking it was coming back to the downside like these were, just because of the chop. And, you know, not even paying attention to the fact that, you know, we're coming into the crush it zone here. And I was really loading up big time. I mean, I was loading up big time, and I had these puts that I couldn't sell, and I think I held them all the way up here into the 0.618, and I was down quite a bit of money at one point. I just turned the P&L off at that point, and I didn't even want to watch. You know, but then I got my composure back, and I thought, well, wait a minute here. We're coming into the crush it zone. And, you know, then what I did is I started buying early. And, you know, if you ask me why I did it, I can't even give you an answer. Like I said, when you get emotionally hijacked, you do things that you have no clue why you're doing them. And this is why it's so important to keep your composure and, you know, try to take control of the trade and not let the trade control you. And I got in too early when really all I needed to do, this is all I needed to do. I just needed to cut my trade, right? I needed to cut my trade here. I had calls, right? I should have kept them. I was getting greedy. I wanted the profit. and I wanted to work my loss down instead of thinking about the trade in a casual manner, right? And thinking to myself, okay, it's going to go up to the crush it zone and we're going to get that continuation. And you can see you did have this retest off of this level here for the move to the upside. And like I said, I just got greedy because I wanted to make up for my losses, and I started selling them right away. I wasn't thinking straight. And then when I got to the 0.618, I started buying puts. And I bought, I loaded all the way up here. And, I couldn't even tell you, how red I was at this time because I didn't have my P&L on. But I was waiting all the way down into here. And then I finally looked at my P&L. I think it was right about here. And I was down 13,000, something like that. And just this move from here down to here, I was getting green right in here. I got green and I didn't trim. Once again, I got greedy, so I didn't trim. I waited for it to come back up. And then I thought, shoot, I should have trimmed some. I was green. I should have, de-risked a little bit. And I think I was only green like $40, so I made back a lot of money. And then as it came down again, I got overly excited because, prices outside the Bollinger Bands here, we're at the 50-day. I thought, we're going to make a move to the upside here. And in my mind, I'm thinking Tesla's going up today. I ended up cashing out on this one here, green, and I ended up with $1,052. Now, here's the kicker. If I would have kept my contracts, I think at this time I only had like 50 contracts. If I would have kept those contracts, I could have taken them all the way down for the rest of the day and trailers down in Tesla. And who knows? I mean, I could have had a $10,000 day, a $30,000 day. It's hard to tell. I don't know. But I just want to say, you know what? I'm not immune. This happens to me too. I've been green every single day since June. And, I take that back. I've been green every single day since June, except in September I had one red day. And I almost had a red day today because by the time I pay my commissions, I'm going to be negative probably $300-400 after today. So it was just a botched day for me. Even though it shows $1,052, I botched it. So that's it. I can't lie. It is what it is. It happens to me. Also, I'm not immune to taking bad trades. I haven't gotten emotionally hijacked in months. When I mean months, I mean months. Probably last spring, last fall. It's been a long time since I've been emotionally hijacked. And so psychology plays a huge role in becoming a really good day trader. And the thing is you're going to fall. Things are going to happen. You're going to have red days. They're just not going to be as often as you get better, all right? So we have tomorrow. We have another day. We'll try it again. But let me get into the watch list here. We'll talk about what did happen today. We did have a crush it zone trade on AMD also, but we didn't quite get to the other end of the crush it zone. It happened twice here. You'd have gotten stopped out both times. You could have possibly got a trim at the 9-day and maybe at the 9-day moving average here on AMD. I didn't really see anything on the smaller time frames that would have enticed me into the trade except for this one here at the far side, and I would have gotten stopped out. This was a trade on Amazon that I took, the crush it zone strategy. We were in the zone here, and I took this down. Now, here's another thing about being emotionally hijacked. This was a really good winning trade. I was up $356 on it, and I got out of the trade right about here just because I was dealing with Tesla at that time. And, I was trying to get green, and I just had too much on my plate, and I couldn't think straight. So I just thought that if I cut Amazon, I could focus on Tesla and not have to worry about two trades. But in reality, the better trade was Amazon. I was in a really good trade right here, and I probably should have stayed in that trade instead of even getting into the Tesla trade at this point. But anyways, like I said, it is what it is. So that was my crush it zone trade on Amazon. And once again, if you want to know about the crush it trade strategy, right now it's $79 per month for life, and it goes until the end of December. It'll never be $79 again. So if you do want to learn the strategy, check it out. The links are below. Okay, moving on to Meta. Meta moved through the crush it zone. I didn't have a play on Meta. I was watching it, but there was nothing there. Nothing set up on the smaller time frames. I didn't have anything on Apple. And then here we go, Tesla again. We just talked about this. A+ setup. So that was a really good trade off the crush it zone to the downside. Now you can see later on in the day, we did get a trade off the crush it zone to the upside. That was also a winning trade. And then we had this NVIDIA. Look at this chop we have in here. It is very choppy, but there is a winning trade off the crusher zone to the 0.382. Now, NVIDIA is notorious for playing the previous day low and high, and here you have it later in the afternoon. Now, I wasn't in the room at that time, but you can see the strategy did set up today. At least 2 times in the crusher zone, 3 times with NVIDIA. Not the cleanest, but it did set up. And once again, this takes place every single day. This is about an 86% probability of winning a trade. You just have to learn the criteria for getting in and getting out. This is a get up and go strategy. You do not have to invest a lot of time and energy. You don't have to watch the news. You don't have to investigate stocks. You just set your levels and you wait for it to happen. It comes to you and then you execute, all right? And we'll teach you all that in the Crush It Trading Room, all right? With that said, take care and have a good night. We'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning.